Marcella was 7 years old the first time she got to bake with her Om. She was so happy to be spending the whole weekend in Om's little cabin in the mountains. It was her favorite place to be. Om loved to bake. Her cabin always smelled so good. When you walked in the door, you could always smell the cinnamon and vanilla or chocolate. She thought, I want to be a great baker like Om someday. Om let Marcella crack the eggs and measure the ingredients. She learned so much from her. The best part of getting to help was licking the beaters, yummy. Om would always make her favorite cookie she called the Spritzlenugan. It was like a cinnamon, chocolate graham cracker rolled into a ball. Such great memories she had being there. As years passed, Marcella didn't go to Om's very much anymore, and the time had come for Om to move to a retirement community. Marcella had to go back to the cabin to pack up her things to put in storage. When she walked into the cabin, all the familiar smells were gone, and a wave of memories still filled the air. Oh, how she wished she could bake with Om just one more time. Then she had an idea. She would bake some Spritzlenugan and take them to her. Om would just love that. But the only problem was, she had to find the recipe. Marcella searched and searched, but to no avail. She was so discouraged and decided to start packing, hoping to find it then. She still had a few more hours left to get the cabin in order, but she was exhausted. She needed to take a little nap to recharge, maybe if she could dream about the recipe, if she thought hard enough. When she woke up, she went to the kitchen. She thought, when I was little, Om had me stand right here, as she positioned herself, and crack 1, 2, 3 eggs. Yes, that's it. It's finally coming back to me now. A little cinnamon, some sugar, a bit of vanilla, melt the chocolate, mix the dry ingredients with the wet. Stir it, form into round balls, line the cookie sheet. Pop them in the oven, and hope for the best. Voila, Spritzlenugan. Om would be so pleased to get these to her. Marcella got all the boxes ready for the movers to come. She cleaned the whole house, and even washed the windows. The movers arrived and loaded the boxes into the moving van. With a sadness in her heart, Marcella walked through each room of the cabin, one last time, stopping each time to say her last goodbyes. She locked up and drove to town. As she was driving, she kept looking at the box of Spritzlenugan she specially wrapped for Om. She used gold foil and a purple ribbon, Om's favorite color. She had to stop at the real estate office to drop off the keys and sign some papers. She was so excited, the trip seemed to last forever. She left the realtors and went straight away to Om's new cottage in the retirement village. When she arrived, she was so surprised at how beautifully decorated it was. There were round picnic tables with the umbrellas in the middle, for shade, and flowers in vases in the center of each one. Guests, residents, were sitting at them eating ice cream and talking to one another. She thought what a great place for Om to be in. She can make so many new friends, and not be lonely anymore. Om was sitting at a table by a beautiful fountain, with another lady. She saw Marcella, and waved her over to them. She stood up and hugged her tight, so happy to see her. It's been too long, she said, as her eyes went to the package. What's that? She asked. Om. I brought you something, handing her the box. She took it eagerly. She sat down in the chair and put the box on the table. Very delicately she untied the ribbon and peeled back the foil. What's this? She exclaimed as she put one in her mouth. Oh, so good. But how? This is my famous Spritzlenugan, she told her friend. I haven't had this in years, she said, with a tear in her eye. Marcella, how did you make this? I have the recipe in my purse, I brought it with me when I moved. I didn't want anyone to get it when I moved, and I was afraid the movers would lose it when they packed up the rest of my things, Om said. Well, Om, I went to your cabin to do the packing, because I just couldn't see strangers doing it. It just didn't seem right. So when I went in, I remembered how you used to let me help you bake, and how delicious the cabin used to smell. I wanted to surprise you and bake them for you, but I couldn't find the recipe. I looked everywhere. So I started packing thinking I'd find it then. I got so discouraged, I thought a nap might help me. I tried thinking really hard before I fell asleep, hoping I could dream about it and remember. When I woke up, I went to the kitchen and stood where you had told me, trying to recreate something, and all of a sudden I started putting stuff all together. Mixing and sifting. Finally, I put them in the oven and crossed my fingers. But Marcella, you were so young, I didn't think you'd remember so much detail. These taste just perfect. I was really sad when you stopped coming to bake with me, she said, voice dropping. I know, I really missed it too. I didn't realize how long I had been away until I went back and saw everything again. We really had a lot of fun, didn't we, We sure did, kiddo, she said. We both laughed, hugging each other. Marcella, these are so good, I want to share them with my friends. Sure, we can bake more now I know where the recipe is. She laughed. I will be looking forward to it, and this time, you can come to my house, I would love my house to smell as delicious as your cabin did. That sounds like a plan, said. Marcella, I was thinking, if I give you the recipe then you could copy it and start selling them to your friends. We can go through all my recipes from Gremini, and you can introduce some tradition to these Americans, she laughed. That sounds wonderful. Marcella said. You can help me get started. We can make samples in my kitchen and take them to the local restaurants and bakeries. Maybe they would give me a spot in their storefront. If they sell really well, I can open my own bakery next year. Marcella said excitedly. Me, thank you so much for saying that. Marcella, I just knew you were destined to be a great baker, just like I was back in Gremini. You would surely make your Ompa proud. Oh, how I miss him. He used to love my Spritzlenugan too, you know? Thank you so much for saying that. I had the best teacher, and I know how much you miss Ompa. I remember him eating them right out of the oven. I miss him too, they hugged. Long live the Spritzlenugan. Let's go have lunch, I'm starving, Marcella said. I'm so happy you could join us, Marcella. I love you too,